Good afternoon and many thanks for making time on this 24th day of July 2013 to be here on the news desk, where news is brought to you as it happens.
Well, my name is Edith Kimani, and this afternoon the bizarre story of a man who was found in a rather awkward situation with a chicken continues. We do have the details right here on this show.
My name is Bonnie Chuny, and also we'll be giving you reasons as to why Mutula Kilonzo Jr.'s name is not yet in the ballot paper for the Makueni by-election. Stay tuned.
Well, our developing story revolves around Wiper Party, and its lawyers are currently locked up in a private court session with High Court Judge Richard Mwongo over the exclusion of its candidate Mutula Kilonzo Jr.'s name in the Makueni ballot papers for Friday's by-election.
The IEBC says it will patch Mutula Kilonzo stickers on the ballot paper that were printed in the United Kingdom and are already in the country. But Wiper has protested the use of their candidate stickers, saying it will give its candidate undue disadvantage as the stickers risk tearing off.
Wiper is pushing for the inclusion of Mutula Jr.'s name in the ballot merely 48 hours to the Friday by-election. Meanwhile, court rivals are opposed to IEBC's strategy of superimposing Mutula Jr.'s name on the ballot, saying that it will appear more prominent than the rest.
The closed-door High Court meeting seeks to unlock the deadlock in an intrigue-riddled prelude to the Makueni by-election.
First there was a cow, and then there was a chicken, and now the man arrested for allegedly engaging in acts of bestiality with a chicken in Nyeri County appeared before resident magistrate John Aringo at the Nyeri Law Courts.
Now, the 40-year-old Paul Nderito denied charges and was released on a bond of 100,000 shillings and a surety of a similar amount.
40-year-old Paul Nderito was in the spotlight again, having caused ripples on Thursday for supposedly being caught engaging in an unnatural act with a chicken that later died. And today he took his place at the Nyeri Law Courts before resident magistrate John Aringo to face charges leveled against him. Nderito, who was allegedly caught by his 10-year-old engaging in the bizarre act, pleaded not guilty to the said offense. Listening to the charges that were read out to him in the Kikuyu language, Nderito sat at the dock, seemingly looking confused. The acting Nyeri OCPD Joseph Muika had earlier indicated that the dead white hen would be taken to the veterinary officers for evaluation, but Muika confirmed to KTN this morning that the vet report was not yet out, nor was the psychiatric evaluation report. The mention of the case will be on 8th August, and the hearing has been slotted for 20th August. Nderito was released on a bond of 100,000 shillings and a surety of a similar amount. Carol Nderi for KTN at the Nyeri Law Courts.
Right, back to Nairobi, and police have recovered stolen goods estimated to be worth millions from a house in Syokimau. The goods had gone missing after a lorry that was ferrying them was carjacked along the Jogoo Road in Nairobi. Police officers traced the missing lorry to Athi River town. They also recovered the consignment, which comprised of a variety of goods including gas cylinders and food items. Police have arrested 4 suspects who are expected to shed light on the circumstances surrounding the carjacking incident. The incident comes barely a month after police recovered stolen goods from a warehouse in the same area of Syokimau.
At around midnight, there was a report of robbery at along Jogoo Road at a Kobil petrol station, whereby 2 motor vehicles, Canter, which were loaded with over 400 gas cylinders of different sizes, were stolen. And through a tip-off and through the use of a tracking system, our officers managed to track those vehicles along this route and led to this place, whereby we have recovered some of the gas cylinders. And while interrogating the suspects, they managed to give us information which led us to that residential house, whereby we have managed to recover several suspected stolen goods including over 400 cartons of different brands of whiskies.
From Syokimau to Likuyani, and that's in Kakamega County, where a quarry has been closed down following health and pollution concerns from area residents. Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya ordered the immediate closure of the quarry in Likuyani constituency, accusing the National Environmental Management Authority, or if you like NEMA, of failing to conduct a proper environmental impact assessment before initiating the project. Speaking after touring the site, Oparanya expressed concerns over increase in respiratory diseases among locals, especially school-going children. Now, the governor said the growth of the crops in the region had been adversely affected, as well as cracks emerging on buildings as a result of tremors. Oparanya now wants a construction company operating the quarry to compensate the victims.
Sheria zetu, paka wafuate sheria zetu. Na pia sisi tuna vijana wetu ambao wanatafuta kazi. Wakija vile wamekuja paka tuone vijana wetu wana kazi. Sisi kama serikali ya county tunataka tupate royalties kutoka kwa operations kama hizo. Tunataka tujue royalties zetu, kwa sababu hii quarry iko upande wetu, zimeenda wapi.
Samburu Governor Moses Lenenkulal is now urging area residents to surrender illegal firearms in their possession, as these firearms are likely to contribute to insecurity in the area and are often used by cattle rustlers. Speaking after the swearing in of 10 nominated county representatives at County Hall, the governor vowed to make sure his government would work to ensure that peace prevails across Samburu County. He also further urged residents of Samburu County to engage in productive ventures in order to foster development.
The communities are actually in the process of returning the government ammunition. We already have reports that some guns have been returned to the police station, and we are continually urging our people that illegal firearms, illegal ammunition does not help. We need to own up. We need to strengthen security so that we can move forward like all other counties. We're in the process of urging the remaining firearms to be handed in, and we hope to beat the deadline by 31st. And we hope as a county to work with the national government to ensure the security of our people.
Right, we've had a county-wide tour from Samburu, Nyeri, Kakamega, and finally back to Samburu. And that's where we take a short commercial break. Business is up next.
Visit the Kenya Hospitality Trade Fair from 25th to 27th July at the KICC and experience hospitality solutions in one global platform. Kenya offers a perfect combination of work and play through state-of-the-art conference halls and private meeting rooms. This comes complete with telecommunication and internet services to ensure a successful conference. These facilities, combined with fine cuisines, unique leisure options, and luxurious accommodation, is the perfect ingredient for any successful conference. Register online at kenyahospitalitytradefair.com and win a trip for two to Thailand, courtesy of Kenya Airways. Kenya Hospitality Trade Fair, East and Central Africa's largest hospitality event.
That's okay. Bye.
Boss, look!
Prevent a disaster, but Jubilee can turn the clock back for you. Thank God for Jubilee. What you can't prevent, insure with Jubilee. Jubilee Insurance.
Jubilee, live free.
Money-saving tips with Steamer Sacco. These clever tips help keep your cash where it belongs, in your pocket. Spend less than you earn. This is the cardinal rule of personal finance. And if you can't utilize this secret, you'll never be able to save money. You simply have to spend less money than you earn, and there's no way around that. It's all about cash flow. Visit any of our Stima Sacco offices in Nairobi, Kisumu, or Mombasa today and enjoy our credit and saving products, including loans with low interest of only 12% per annum. Stima Sacco, empowering members for life.
It's simple. The more queues you avoid, the more you can make of your day. Go straight to the store or fill up without stopping at the ATM or bank. Visa debit card. It's fast, convenient, and safer than carrying cash. More people around the world go with Visa.
KENHA was established through the Kenya Roads Act 2007 with a mandate to manage, develop, maintain and rehabilitate all national roads in the country. Know your road signs in association with KENHA. Knowing your traffic road signs is essential to safe driving. A sign with a red triangle will warn you about a hazard you cannot see. These signs warn you of hazards ahead, such as roundabouts, crossroads, dangerous bends, or anything else that would call on you to drive more carefully. You should always take special care when you see a warning sign. If you fail to observe these signs, you could create an emergency. Kenya National Highways Authority. Quality highways, better connections.
Welcome back to the program. 17 nominated members of the Nyeri cabinet were sworn in at the Nyeri County Assembly in Rorengo yesterday, and the ceremony presided over by the Speaker David Maina Mugo. Out of the 17 nominated members, 16 are women in a bid to bridge the gap as of the 30 elected members. None is a woman. TNA has nominated 13 members while GNU has 4 members. In the recent past, there has been a conflict of party politics as the Governor Nderitu Gachagua holds to the ground National Union Party, while GNU majority of the county representatives are in TNA. The sworn members vowed to improve the lives of the residents of the 6 constituencies in Nyeri County.
County Assembly, member of Nyeri County, that I shall diligently discharge my duties and perform my functions in the same office to the best of my judgment. That I shall at all times respect, uphold, preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. And that I shall do right to all manner of persons in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya.
Time for business, as always, is quick and painless. Now, the rising frequency of unpredictable droughts in the recent past have seen farmers in arid and semi-arid regions incur millions of shillings in losses through the death of livestock during this drought season. But in a new initiative that hopes to change this trend, with the introduction of a modern water hole monitoring system in Turkana by the Food and Agricultural Organization FAO of the United Nations, under the new technology, the number of livestock deaths is expected to drop by up to 50%, with an early warning system predicting water levels 6 months in advance. The €5 million is expected to help farmers in arid and semi-arid regions plan migratory movement for the livestock based in availability of water and pasture. It is also hoped that this would reduce pasture conflicts between communities under the project. Smart mobile phones will also be used to collect information from 12 strategic water plants and instantly post them to a website at the touch of a button.
Pastoralists have been using their local indigenous early warning systems. We are aware that with climate change, things are changing. And with the technology that we are using, we are trying to merge both our technology and the indigenous system so that we can be able to actually know the situation.
It's critical for us to make sure that pastoralism thrives, but not in the way that it is now, but in a much more enterprise way.
Now, tea farmers across Kenya are set to benefit from the arrival of 32,166 metric tons of fertilizer at the port of Mombasa. The Romania procured fertilizer is part of the 64,766 metric tons consignment procured by the Kenya Tea Development Agency. Now, the fertilizer is expected to boost tea production in the country. The fertilizer will, in the next 2 weeks, be dispatched to farmers with payment made in installments by the over 560,000 farmers. Tea production registered 24% increase last in year's production, with 60% of which was contributed by small-scale subsector farmers, positioning Kenya as a leading exporter of black tea.
And they are given this fertilizer at cost. And therefore, KTN just facilitates the whole process, and we float international tender so that we get the best prices. The total price for this fertilizer around the year is we spent 3 billion Kenya shillings, but the actual price to the farmer will be determined after we put all the costs, transport costs, warehousing costs, and so forth.
Well, that's just all the business you need to know this afternoon. We shift gears to sports with Edith Kimani.
Thank you, Tunya. Let's get straight to it. And Tusker Premier League defending champions Tusker will try to redeem themselves from a recent poor show against Thika United in the final match of the KPL Top 8 match this evening. Thika United bundled out Chemelil Sugar in the semi-finals. Assignment to the youthful side is not bothered by the big challenge that lies ahead. Now, the priority for the Thika United is to win the KPL Top 8, but the Brewers will be determined to stop the recent poor showing, knowing very well that coach Robert Matano has been given 3 matches to salvage his job with the champions after losing back-to-back Kenya Premier League matches against Slum Boys Mathare United and City Stars, respectively. Pep Guardiola's former team meets his current employers in Wednesday's friendly when European champions Bayern Munich host Spanish giants Barcelona, who will now be under Pep poached Spaniard under-21 captain Thiago Alcantara to bolster his star-studded midfield, which includes Holland's Arjen Robben and Frank Ribéry. The France winger, but Guardiola stirred up bad blood with his former bosses earlier this month when he accused the Barcelona board of trying to damage him. Bastian Schweinsteiger and Mario Götze, Bayern German stars, are both recovering from an injury.
Faced their former teammates for the first time. 3 days later, Bayern faced Borussia Dortmund in the DFL Super Cup, their first showdown.
Right, and of course, we cannot wind up this bulletin without telling you a fact you don't need to know.
All right. I like how you say that business is short and painless. Do you know what isn't short and painless?
Tell me.
A tattoo. How do you spell tattoo?
T-A-T-O-O?
Well, it's T-A-T-T-O-O, and the word tattoo is actually one of the most misspelled words in the English language.
That's your did you know fact of the day. You have to make me look bad in national TV, really?
I'm sorry. That's how we wind up this edition of KTN Newsdesk. I'm Edith Kimani.
My name is Bonnie Tunya. Now, we'll leave you with how this newsroom works on Betty Charles' How Things Work. Good afternoon.
They are known as members of the Fourth Estate, working long and odd hours to bring you the news.
Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of KTN News.
Nothing is left to chance.
Stand by, your mic is on.
Facts are our core business. This team of dedicated scribes cover the news and the newsmakers every day. This is no ordinary job.
The time that I had to pose as a gun dealer.
When it's around, maybe from around 4 p.m. That's the time even I don't want a phone call from my wife or my kids because I'm under pressure and the 40 million Kenyans are viewing the story.
Tonight, we take you behind the scenes of the KTN Newsroom, one of the busiest newsrooms in East and Central Africa, on How Things Work.
If you thought the political season was over, well,
before this, there is a world of teamwork, effort, and hours put into bringing you that story that affects many lives around the country, across the world. It all starts here. This is the newsroom. Here you find news editors, video editors, reporters, anchors, camera journalists, computers, and more computers. A day in the newsroom newsroom begins early morning. Editors, who are basically the people who plan the stories that will be executed on a particular day, hold an editorial meeting. Here they brainstorm and share ideas on different angles of the stories that will be part of these bulletins.
The reporters come, you tell the reporter, like, Betty, okay, today you're following this story, it's happening at this time. Make sure you get these news sources or that news sources or these particular supporting documents for the story. Then you send out the reporters. When they're out gathering the stories, the news editor keeps in touch with them to know the updates of the stories as the reporters are out there, because you don't have to wait for them to come back and tell you what has happened. When they get back to the newsroom, you as the news editor will have planned exactly what is going on air at 1 p.m., what's going on air at 4 p.m., what's going on air at 7 p.m., what's going on air at 9 p.m.
In the field, always you have your angle of the story, how you want to pursue it. So, and you always want to have the best. You really don't want to have the angle that your competition is having. So you always have to move at a notch higher. You want to ask a question that will make news.
News is gathered through different avenues. It can be through a rally, a press conference, an exclusive interview, or sometimes breaking news, which is basically news that was not anticipated or planned for. From the field, it's back to the newsroom. Here, the reporters are advised on how to angle their stories, after which they begin their scripting. This is at the heart of storytelling. Around this time, tension is building, a race against time. Every minute counts.
So at that time, the newsroom is very, very tense, especially just before 1 o'clock news, just before 4 o'clock or 7 p.m. You know, that hour or so before the newsroom is a very, very crazy place. And that's when people are most aggressive. That's when somebody is likely not to greet you back if you say hello, because they have their own problems. The editor of the day, I'm breathing down the reporter's neck. The news director is breathing down the reporter's neck, wants everything from the reporter. The video edits, which are very busy, people are competing for space to edit their stories fast and quickly. And also time is running out on you.
The script thereafter passes through a line of editors who verify information and add their input to ensure the script is of high quality, factual, and does not feature any defamatory statements.
So it's about getting the right pictures, the right up sounds that tell the story best, you know, and getting time in a suit. So you have to get time to capture all that, to edit it, all in time, because you're not the only story in the suit. There are like 8-10 other stories. There's several other reporters. So
this is what an edit suite looks like. No room for time wasting.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
The video editors work together with the reporter to put together the picture and audio in a sequence to relay the intended information that in the end becomes the story you see on TV. It's not always easy and smooth.
Take. They say there are take.
There really is a lot that goes into doing a piece like How Things Work or any other piece that we do on KTN. For instance, a story like this will take you an average of 3 days to shoot, probably 2 cards to fill, which is about 264 minutes worth of footage that you have to go through to package a 5 to 8 minute story.
After the story is edited, it is downloaded onto a tape or sent to a server, which the news directors can access from the studio gallery. Then it is ready to be aired. And that is what goes on behind the scenes to bring you the news. Next week on How Things Work.
Okay, director, we are ready. Coming to you in 1.5 minutes time. Are you ready? Are you set?
We showcase what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to news presentation.
I don't think there's any production that goes on air without the goose. If people were able to see what happens behind the scenes, you'd be surprised.
Understanding the stories, that's the most important thing, because you're communicating. It's a camera, yes, but there's millions of people behind that camera.
Betty Callow, How Things Work.
for emergencies, power outages, billing queries, and other Kenya Power services. 95551, the power of one number. Kenya Power.
Alpha Grain Millers are the manufacturer of Kifaru Grade 1 maize flour. Kifaru is high quality, affordable and absolutely delicious. Kifaru maize flour is available in all leading supermarkets and dukas countrywide and comes in packs of 1 kilo, 2 kilos, 5 kilos, 10 kilos, 50 kilos and 90 kilos. Kifaru, the unga of choice. Alpha Grain Millers Limited, manufacturers of Kifaru maize meal, wishes all our Muslim brothers and sisters Ramadan Kareem.
The following program has been rated GE. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
For years, Manuel Neuer has been regarded as one of the world's top keepers, and now he's got the titles to prove it. Neuer didn't have as much to do for triple winner Bayern last season as he's had in the past for Schalke in Germany, but experts still rave about his abilities.
Neuer is better than Kahn, the world's most modern keeper. That's why we're proud he was with us.
But some wounds, like leaving his boyhood team Schalke, take time to heal.
I owe the club everything.
The Sports Academy of Bosinghausen. The team is here. Even getting a distant glimpse of Manuel Neuer is a real treat. It's next to impossible to get near Germany's #1 keeper, despite Bayern Munich's open practices. But it's when Neuer is with the national team that he seems more relaxed. Hi, Manuel. Welcome to the idyllic surroundings of this historic sports academy. Which do you like better? Normally, you're in a big city with the national team, so which do you prefer?
Both have advantages and disadvantages. I think we'll be left alone here and can train well and get prepared. In the big city, though, there's more to do in your spare time.
In Munich, do you have to run around hidden under a baseball cap, or can you sit down in a cafe in peace?
I don't hide. I think people in Munich are used to it because there are a lot of famous people there, so people don't make a big fuss. It's comfortable.
Neuer has been in the trendy Bavarian capital since the summer of 2011. But one senses he's not yet completely at home there. He has a charitable foundation in his home region, and his real friends are not from Munich.
I miss people, my friends, from the Ruhr Valley. Of course, they visit a lot, and I see a lot of people from there. But I miss being able to just talk to a certain pal of mine about a given subject. Or just to meet up. I really miss that.
Gelsenkirchen-Buhr in the Ruhr Valley is where Manuel Neuer grew up. Here we meet his best friend, Sebastian Bundkirchen, a Schalke fan. He used to watch the team with Neuer in the stadium's north stands. Now he manages Neuer's foundation.
Manuel really does keep in touch with his friends from Gelsenkirchen and his family. He's still in the loop, although unfortunately he's in Munich and we're in Gelsenkirchen. He was with the club for more than 20 years. Here, the love of the fans for the team is passed down from generation to generation. In the Ruhr Valley, people treat football differently than in other parts of the countries. Manuel has learned that his whole life.
Buhr is nicknamed the Monaco of Gelsenkirchen. It's an affluent neighborhood. This is where Manuel Neuer was introduced to football and to the passion of the Royal Blues of Schalke.
I think I had a great childhood and felt very comfortable in Buhr. At a very young age, I started playing football in our yard. I destroyed a few flowers in my mother's garden, so she would yell at me.
When he grew older, Manuel and his buddies moved their matches to a nearby playground.
Manuel insisted on playing in the field, but even then, he was always the best.
However, Germany's future #1 keeper soon found himself between the posts.
I wanted to be a footballer right from the start, and so did my whole family. But they didn't have a goalkeeper, so the Bambinis got stuck in goal. It's the same on the playground. The new kid always gets stuck in goal. I was the new kid, and I did a pretty good job, so the coach said, "Okay, you're staying in goal." You can't contradict him when you're only 4.
You can your parents, but not the coach.
No way.
So, at the age of 5, Neuer was already tending goal for Schalke. The stadium was only a stone's throw from his house.
I could see the floodlights from our roof terrace. You couldn't not see them on Friday evenings when there was a night match. And if the stadium was sold out and a goal was scored, I could hear that too.
Neuer and his friends joined the Schalke Burschenschaft, a club for hardcore supporters. They went to all the home matches.
We stood in the north terrace, of course, over there. Sadly, there's not a lot left of it. That's where it all started, in the standing section. That's where the action was and the cheapest seats. We were just school kids back then. Manuel was the one who always got most caught up in the game. He didn't notice what was going on around him. He left the emotions to the others.
Neuer's first great role model was then Schalke keeper Jens Lehmann. Even from an early age, Neuer made sacrifices to become a pro footballer.
Sometimes we went out on the town after the pros played a match, but Manuel always watched the highlights on TV at home and went to bed early, because the youth teams all played on Sunday mornings.
4 days a week you left home at 7 in the morning and didn't return until 8:30 at night. Of course, you didn't have much free time. You missed out on part of your childhood. You only realize that later, as well as what your own needs are. But in the end, it was worth it.
Neuer's 5-year contract with Bayern pays him 30 million euros. And even though his life centers on Munich, you get the sense he'd like to return to Gelsenkirchen someday, where he can be more himself.
I can let loose a bit when the time is right. Naturally, I can't go running naked through Munich's English garden.
How do you relax?
By making sure I'm not disturbed by the outside world. That's what's most important. I try to maintain some peace and quiet and enjoy the time when I don't have any responsibilities.
As of 9th grade, Neuer attended this school. It was right next to the arena where Schalke played their matches. Everything was focused around football.
It was a big help that we got additional support. When we went away with the junior national teams, the teachers helped us with our workloads. I don't think every school is like that.
We meet a former teacher and principal.
Here, I'll help you. He's there in the middle. Alexander Baumjohann is also there, and Mesut Özil.
Few of his classmates had Neuer's ambition. Despite the demands of football, he also graduated from high school.
His mother insisted on it. I was her son's homeroom teacher. She asked me, Mr. Hermann, don't you think people are overdoing it with football? Isn't schoolwork suffering? I think I was able to reassure Mrs. Neuer. I said, let's keep an eye on it together. And it turned out we did a really good job, together with the Neuers.
Neuer doesn't talk a lot about his family in Gelsenkirchen, and he's become even more taciturn since his controversial move to Bayern. He says his father is a police detective, and his brother Marcel is also active in football.
He's a referee and a very successful one. He's like me, a perfectionist who tries to do everything right. My father was also a footballer, and later played handball in Gelsenkirchen. That mixture would suit me too. My mother was also athletic. My father is 1,89 meters and my mother is 1,74 meters.
The height of your parents can be important for a footballer. Mr. Matuszak, nice to catch up with you on the ground where you used to train Manuel Neuer. Did you ever suspect he'd become the best keeper in the world, as many now say?
Not at all. At the age of 13 or 14, Manuel was really thin. Nothing like the typical big bad goalkeeper.
In the 10th grade, Manuel was around 1,75 meters. And he said to me, Mr. Hermann, I don't think I can become a goalkeeper. I'm too small. So I'm really happy to see what he is today, a model athlete.
Aachen, August 19th, 2006, Neuer's first top-flight match.
Bundesliga-Debüt für Manuel Neuer, 20 Jahre alt, seit 16 Jahren Schalke-Mitglied. In der Mitte Christian Fjell, Neuer. Frank Rost hatte sich im Training verletzt, wurde exzellent von ihm vertreten. Der war nicht leicht zu halten für Manuel Neuer. Starkes Debüt in schwieriger Umgebung.
I wasn't really frightened, just a bit nervous before the match. Once the game was underway, that disappeared, and everything went well.
Coach Mirko Slomka made Neuer the team's new #1, a gutsy decision. Ahead of the match against Bayern, fans protested against Schalke's poor performances. Neuer was in the thick of things.
You were going on pure adrenaline. You could sense it in the conversations the night before. That was certainly something. To play in a match like that in such a hothouse atmosphere, in front of fans in the stands where you used to stand yourself, and then to have Bayern Munich as an opponent.
You could really feel the tension.
Schalke versus Bayern was always something special. The fans looked forward to the matches for weeks. And then suddenly you get thrown into the deep end at the age of 20. The match went by like we were in a daze. It was like a movie. We were so afraid something would go wrong. We were more nervous than Manuel himself.
Neuer was remarkably assertive in his home debut, putting on a display of modern offensive goalkeeping. Schalke grabbed a 2-0 lead over Bayern. But a misjudged clearance led to a Munich goal, and the match eventually ended 2-2. It was Neuer's first big mistake in a top match. But everyone offered their consolations, even Schalke's other keeper Frank Rost and their coach.
He put in a good performance, but you never know as a coach. Can he keep that up? Can he grow into his new role and deal with all the media hype? Can he handle the pressure? Can he do the things we've seen in practice, like coming off his line and getting involved in passing? He answered those questions. He stayed cool and still has his feet on the ground. He's a really polite guy.
The stage was set for a new star. Neuer's career took off. After becoming the youngest regular starting keeper in Germany, he took over from René Adler as the national team's #1 and won the European Under-21 title. Today, many people consider him the best keeper in the world. And it all began with special training.
We used miniature goals as targets. We set them up on the center line, and the guys would have to hit them from the edge of the penalty area by kicking and by throwing the ball. That taught them how to aim at targets.
17 nominated members of the Nyeri cabinet were sworn in at the Nyeri County Assembly in Rorengo yesterday, and the ceremony presided over by the Speaker David Maina Mugo. Out of the 17 nominated members, 16 are women in a bid to bridge the gap as of the 30 elected members. None is a woman. TNA has nominated 13 members, while GNU has 4 members. In the recent past, there has been a conflict over party politics as the Governor Nderitu Gachagua holds to the Ground National Union Party, while GNU majority of the county representatives are in TNA. The sworn members vowed to improve the lives of the residents of the 6 constituencies in Nyeri County.
County Assembly, member of Nyeri County, that I shall diligently discharge my duties and perform my function in the same office to the best of my judgment. That I shall at all times respect, uphold, preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. And that I shall do right to all manner of persons in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya.
Time for business, as always, is quick and painless. Now, the rising frequency of unpredictable droughts in the recent past have seen farmers in arid and semi-arid regions incur millions of shillings in losses through the death of livestock during this drought season. But in a new initiative that hopes to change this trend, with the introduction of a modern water hole monitoring system in Turkana by the Food and Agricultural Organization FAO of the United Nations, under the new technology, the number of livestock deaths is expected to drop by up to 50%, with an early warning system predicting water levels 6 months in advance. The €5 million is expected to help farmers in arid and semi-arid regions plan migratory movement for the livestock based in availability of water and pasture. It is also hoped that this would reduce pasture conflicts between communities under the project. Smart mobile phones will also be used to collect information from 12 strategic water plants and instantly post them to a website at the touch of a button.
Pastoralists have been using their local indigenous early warning systems. We are aware that with climate change, things are changing. And with the technology that we are using, we are trying to merge both our technology and the indigenous system so that we can be able to actually know the situation.
It's critical for us to make sure that pastoralism thrives, but not in the way that it is now, but in a much modern, much more enterprise way.
Now, tea farmers across Kenya are set to benefit from the arrival of 32,166 metric tons of fertilizer at the port of Mombasa. The Romania procured fertilizer is part of the 64,766 metric tons consignment procured by the Kenya Tea Development Agency. Now, the fertilizer is expected to boost tea production in the country. The fertilizer will, in the next 2 weeks, be dispatched to farmers with payment made in installments by the over 560,000 farmers. Tea production registered 24% increase last in year's production, with 60% of which was contributed by small-scale subsector farmers, positioning Kenya as a leading exporter of black tea.
And they are given this fertilizer at cost. And therefore, KTN just facilitates the whole process, and we float international tender so that we get the best prices. The total price for this fertilizer around the year is we spent 3 billion Kenya shillings, but the actual price to the farmer will be determined after we put all the costs, transport costs, warehousing costs, and so forth.